What's good, everybody? Welcome back. It's your host with the most. And yeah, everything is sold. Everything I worked for the past 6 years is sold. And I just want to, before we get into the whole video, I just want to say, if you ever even just watch if you were just a single view on any of my 1,200 videos that I posted in my YouTube career, or if you were a member of Time Boy TV Plus to Pure Profits and still are a member to this day, I just want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. You guys literally changed my life. You guys literally changed my life for the better. And, I'll never ever forget that. So if you're any like OG viewer or even a new viewer, an OG subscriber, a new subscriber, I don't really care. But if you've ever seen my face and interact with me in some way of some sort, whether it was good, bad, or ugly, if you hated on me, you hate the fact that I flip toy cars because that's like the big thing that everyone hates me on for right now. Thank you. I really, and I mean that sincerely from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate you for being there. Yeah, it's crazy. But long story short, you guys probably see me first on YouTube. If you've been there from the beginning, 7 years, right? 7 years ago, I posted my first like real sneaker hype beastie YouTube video, which was crazy. I look back at it now. I've been reflecting a lot for the past 6 months on the entire process, and it was wild. I mean, that video that I first posted is sketchy, but overall, yeah. So what I basically did over the past 6 years, I built up a community of resellers. We basically gave out information in the community. It's now called Pure Profit. Started off as Timeboy TV Plus. It's a paid community that people could join and learn about reselling. It's still up and running to this day. I'm still part of it, but once again, I'm not the owner anymore. And I recently sold that a couple months ago. I recently sold 1,200 pairs of sneakers that I invested in and saved and built up as inventory for the past 4 years. I sold over 600 pieces of clothing like Supreme, Palace, FTP, blah, 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 all that stuff within the past year and a half. And I sold about 500 plus boxes of Pokemon cards and sports cards that I held up over the past 4 years. So this video is going to kind of basically give you guys my entire story, because I personally love seeing entrepreneurs' journeys, like whether young, old, or whatever, because I learn from them, and I think you guys can learn a lot from me. And that's basically what this YouTube channel is going to be turned into. It's basically going to turn into like a whole business diary or like a journal, kind of giving you guys my thoughts on business in general, like, my mistakes that I've made, the lessons I've learned, and basically what I'm working on in the future, right? Because there's a new project I'm working on, a couple of them actually. I invested all my time and money into a few projects that I'm working on. And yeah, I'll tell you guys about that at the end, but I want to give you guys first off my full entire story. So I'm going to go back all the way to when I was about 13 years old, right? That's when the whole like entrepreneurial social media part of me really started. Now listen, I don't know why, but that's when around that time is when I posted my first YouTube video. I think I might have even been a little bit younger, but that's when my first YouTube video got posted. And yeah, a lot of random videos, right? But ever since I was young, I liked YouTube. I liked posting videos. I just never really knew what I wanted to make content on, and you can see that from the very beginning. But I was a really good swimmer when I was younger. I was really like, I was making videos on that, the Yankees baseball games, like Airsoft Wars. I was just trying to like make anything and anything, and eventually I did that, but I stopped. But that's when I started getting a little bit more serious about money, right? Because I come from an Eastern European family, and it's very immigrant family. Come from the bottom, to be honest with you. Like, a lot of people say that, but they literally came from the bottom. My parents came from the bottom, and like they instilled like that hard work ethic into me. And ever since I was young, I knew the value of a dollar, right? I think most people don't realize the value of a dollar until they turn like 18. They have to buy their first car, or when they leave their house, when they're young, young to mid 20s. And that's when they really realize the value of a dollar. And like, yo, I really do have to make money to survive or get some sort of freedom in my life, right? Money is not the answer to everything, but it's also not evil like people make it out to seem. And that's kind of when I realized that, like 13, 14 years old, that's when I realized, and that's when I started like actually looking to make money, right? And also when I was young, I was never able to play video games, never able to watch movies, never able to watch TV shows during the week. Like, it was very strict upbringing, which at the end of the day, like at the time, I probably hated a lot, but I think it really helped me shape me as an individual throughout my entire life. So I do have to thank my parents for that, for sure. But yeah, that's when I kind of started. 13 years old, I started like doing the usual cliche shit, like mowing lawns, shoveling snow, selling lemonade even on the corner of my neighborhood, and like doing that type of stuff, making like a few bucks here and there. But like, I knew like that's not gonna make me a lot of money, so I was like, I need to get a job. And at 14 years old, I was like, okay, it's time to like level this up. I need to make more money. So that summer, I ended up working out as like, you legally can't really work as a 14-year-old, but I got like some side gigs, like here and there, like cleaning, doing maintenance at pools, once again helping out people, like yard work, but a little bit more serious stuff. But like, once again, not like an official job. And this was about when I was in 8th grade, I think, or just around that time frame. And I really realized the more value of the dollar, and like how like I wanted to just buy things, and then I just wanted stuff because as an 8th grader going into freshman year of high school, I didn't even have an iPhone. Everyone else had an iPhone. I had that slide up phone, which I loved. Fantastic device. But I was also like the last kid in my grade to have an iPhone, which I think once again was a really good decision on my parents' part. But at the moment, I hated it. I hated it. I want an iPhone, so I'm gonna buy an iPhone. I'm gonna get a new phone, and that's why I wanted money. But once again, at 14 years old, I still wasn't making that much money. I was, just doing like side gigs here and there. as like a maintenance guy. And now this brings us to when I was about 15 years old, and this is when I got my first official job as a lifeguard, and this is when I had like the time of my life. I went to like a new town. I didn't know anyone there as a lifeguard, and I just met new people, and this was like that summer. It was just like partying, going out, and actually finally making real money. All right, at this time I was driving a 2001 Honda Accord. Why is that important detail? I don't know, but that was the car that I started my entire like real life. I think 15 or 16 was when you get probationary. So around that time, right? My timeline is very off putting and off place, but once again, around that time, going into high school, that's kind of when I got my first job. And at this time is when I started getting a little bit more serious about like the whole fashion thing. And because I was going to high school and I was asking my cousin, because my cousin was a bit older than me, I was like, yo, what? I vividly remember this text message. I was like, dude, what are people wearing? Like what shoes are people wearing in high school? What are they wearing? He was like, dude, Jordan Retros 1 through 13. So that's the code that I lived by. I started like researching about Jordan Retros all summer long, like figuring out, okay, what kind of shoes are people wearing? Like Jordan 1s, Jordan 3s, Jordan 4s, Jordan 6s, Jordan 7s. Jordan 9s were actually my favorite. Like that was the first time I really got on sneakers. Like that Jordan 9 sneaker is beautiful. I love that shoe. And that's the first time I think my cousin actually gifted me one of my first pair of Jordans as well. And the actual first Jordans I ever bought myself, actually my parents got for me as a birthday gift, only pair, True Flights. That looked like Jordan 7s. If you know anything about those are like the foo-foos of the Jordan Retro game, and that was like my first official step into the sneaker space. But once again, this is when I kind of started getting money. I was going out partying a lot. Like I was just kind of getting like that whole high school phase. You know, it's like when you're finally a little bit more free. Like I graduated middle school with like a group of 30 kids in my grade, and going to a high school like 2,000 kids. It was like a county school, and it was for smart people. But I ended up partying outside of that a lot, and getting myself into a lot of stuff, and eventually that turned into some weed, some weed. So I started smoking some of that, and that's when life kind of, turned a little bit. And at that time, that's when I started smoking a lot more. Like, it's like carts are becoming a popular thing. Like, everyone's hitting carts in the bathrooms. Everyone's smoking Juuls. Juuls are a new thing. Like, that's kind of what I grew up in. Like, Juuls were a new thing. Carts were it. Off-White carts, Supreme carts. And, that's actually the time that I started getting into Supreme. And I was like, dude, what is Supreme? And I vividly remember my first Supreme drop because I was sitting in my comp sci class. And it was like 1 p.m., so the drop was already over with. But there was stuff still sitting in stock. The Hanes boxers, an acid green Supreme backpack, and a couple other random like stuff. And I really remember I was like, dude, I just spent like $400. I was like, this is crazy. I just spent $400 on. But he was like, yo, just buy it and flip it. I was like, cool, I'll try. And that's when I got into like Grailed, and I flipped my first pieces of Supreme underwear. Supreme underwear, a white pair. Listen, you know how Supreme underwear comes in a 4-pack? I took out a single piece of underwear, sold it to Australia for $100 plus $25 shipping. That was like the first sale. I was like, dude, I just got free underwear because I just sold it for $125. And I bought a 4-pack for like, what was it, $30 at the time, around there. I just profited, and I got to keep 3 pairs of white Supreme underwear. Actually, I ended up selling those as well for a little bit less. But I was like, that's when I was like, I don't even need a job to make money. I can actually flip shit online and make money from it. And that's kind of when the whole reselling thing started at that time. So I was kind of doing that for a while, and that brings us to like freshman to sophomore year summer. Once again, still partying, smoking a little bit. But sophomore year is when I finally kind of fell in love. I ain't gonna lie to you, fell in love, and I started, dating this girl for a bit. It was kind of like it was a weird relationship. I'm not gonna lie. It was like a high school relationship. Didn't know what I was doing. Wasn't confident. I was just like whatever. And at the end of the sophomore year, basically, I was like, throughout the year, I was buying Supreme, Jordans here and there, nothing too crazy. But at the end of sophomore year, towards the end, very weird ending to the relationship. It was kind of like she started hanging out with another dude, but we were still kind of together. And she was like, and one day she was like, yeah, this is not going to work. Next day she's just out with him and, doing whatever. And at that point, you get the typical, like, the villain arc. That's like when the villain arc started. I was like, yo, fuck, man. Like, no way that happened to me. And it's because, like, this guy was, a little bit upper class for sure. And his dad was selling, like, McLarens and stuff like that. So I was like, damn, I was like, that's kind of like when I woke up, I was like, dude, I gotta, start doing something more and more and bigger in my life. And that's when I got really motivated. And for some reason at that time also, I started really watching Gary Vee. And Gary Vee, I just watched his clips every single day on Instagram. And he was just fucking post, like, you're only gonna live once, you're going to die. And like, so people think that's cliche and corny, but it really helped. That video really helped me and kind of pushed me to go even further and started taking this whole thing a lot more seriously. So at the end of my sophomore year of high school, going to junior, that's when I kind of started the whole YouTube thing. And boy, oh boy, was that something else. And look at the videos. Those first videos were filmed on a GoPro. For like the first, I think month, 2 months, 3 months, I think even more than that. But I was posting, like, I took it so seriously because the thing about me is I get obsessed. Whenever I do something, I get vividly obsessed and I like put my heart and soul into it. My emotions are in it. I'm a very emotional guy. So like when something is not going right, I get emotional about it. And when something's going right, I want to go like fully focused on it. I'm going crazy. That's all I can focus on. Like I get really dialed in, focused. And I think that comes from, of course, my parents and my family, my upbringing, like, hard work ethic, working. Like my parents work 2, 3 jobs at a time. Very, very, hustlers at the end of the day. That's the kind of like I got it gifted to them. And then also swimming really taught me dedication, motivation. I was a kid that we had 2 practices a day as a 15-year-old, 14-year-old, right? I was still, yes, I was smoking weed, drinking and all that, but I still make sure to get my shit done. I wasn't the type of kid like, oh, I'm just gonna go piss off everything I worked for, right? Because I started swimming when I was 8 years old, and I would really literally ride my bike. I would wake up at 5:30 in the morning, get on my bicycle, drive my bike about 3 miles to the pool, swim for about an hour and a half, come home, ride the bus to school, come home again after school, go swim. And in between that time, from coming home at 3 p.m. from school, from practice start around 6 p.m., I would be recording videos, editing YouTube videos, and doing all that type of thing, or flipping Supreme at that time. But anyways, this brings us into junior to sophomore year. Like I said, I was still swimming at this time, but swimming kind of took like a back seat, and I started going in hard on YouTube. And keep in mind that when I started this YouTube channel, YouTube wasn't cool. It was, and I don't know if it still is nowadays, like how it is amongst kids or like younger people. But it wasn't cool. Like if you were making YouTube videos, it was cringy, weird, you were awkward as hell. And that's what happened basically. I remember that I didn't want to tell anybody. It was just like a secret thing. I didn't even want to promote it on my own personal Instagram with like 500 followers. I didn't want to tell my friends, family, nobody. My family knew, of course, but my friends, I didn't want to tell anyone. And eventually I got a text. I was like, yo, dude, are you posting YouTube videos? Somehow, some way, someone found it. And then it just like got spread around to everybody. And eventually over time, a lot of kids in the high school found out about it. Everyone found out about it. And, people start talking shit, and that's the way it goes. And I really remember the first time that someone like really brought it up. I was actually, so during lunch, you'd have like you'd have lunch and then a free period. And during that free period, you'd hang out around outside of the, in the quad in the center of the school and hang out with people, do free time, do homework. And I remember I was talking to a teacher at this time, and some random bum schmuck ass kid. I know exactly who it is too. I still see him around town sometimes, but he comes up to the teacher and goes like, do you know he started a YouTube channel? And then after that, it was game over. Like the teacher was looking at it, was like, oh, what do you plan on doing with this? And then like the teacher started playing the videos during class, and people started pulling it up. People found like my OG YouTube video from when I was 13 years old. And at the time, it was pretty tough. I'm not gonna lie to you, it was pretty tough. But I just had that drive, that will to just keep pushing forward. I really didn't give a shit. And eventually, that's kind of what distanced myself from a lot of people. At that time, going into junior year of high school, I really, really, like that lonely chapter that you hear about, like Hormozy probably talks about. At that time, no one talked about it, by the way. It was lonely as hell for 2 years. Really didn't talk to many people. Like the whole partying thing kind of fully ended actually. I went full force onto YouTube. And I guess, like I said, junior, that's when I started taking a lot more seriously. Started posting 5 videos per week, every single week. Flipped a lot of Supreme. Started going in store for Supreme and started flipping every single thing I could possibly find, right? Focus on Jordans and Supreme. But like I said, I got dialed in on this YouTube thing. It got really, really lonely. Like the next junior and senior year, super, super lonely years. Didn't really align myself with people that like I grew up with. Didn't align anyone with my high school. And I was just like alone, and that's just kind of how it had to go. But into my junior year, this is when I was still smoking a bit of weed, actually a good amount. And I started getting into those carts again. Like I said, I was a hustler and I started selling carts, and not just like 1 or 2 carts, but this was like full-fledged operations. Like this is quite a lot of carts. Like I'm not gonna say how much, but it was carts. These carts, like I said, were easiest thing to sell. I found a connect, found end people that wanted them, and that was it. Now my specialty really wasn't in selling, like not my specialty. My thing wasn't really selling individual ones, just like selling bulk to people, in different towns and around there. And I did this a couple of times. This is when I made, my big, like within 1-2 hour shift of me like buying it and bringing it to someone else, like $4,000. At that time, that was crazy money. That was more money than I made from Supreme or Stinkers or ever. And that's kind of, I was like, dude, this whole cart situation business is crazy. Like I can make real money from this. I remember taking pictures like the first time I made like a couple $1,000s in a day. And I was like, this is insane. This is more money than I've ever made ever. This is like, I just made in 2 hours the same amount of money I made in a summer working as a lifeguard. And I was like, this is life changing. So I did that a couple of times. However, one time, like I said, I basically sold in bulk, right? For the most part, sold in bulk. And I maybe would front this guy. I would front this guy in another town. And I'd be like, hey, just pay me back in 2 weeks when you sell it all. Like I was fine with that. I trusted him. Don't know why I trusted him. But long story short, I texted him like 3 weeks later. I'm like, yo, what's up? We did like 3 or 4 deals and we were fine. He goes, yeah, dude, I don't have the cards. And I was like, okay, do you have the money? He was like, no, I don't have the money either. And I was like, the fuck is this? And listen, I was a skinny, scrawny kid, you know, talking to like, this was an upperclassman too, like senior in high school. I think he might have even graduated at the time, but he was 2 or 3 years older than me. And I was like, dog, what the fuck is good right now? And long story short, what ended up happening, he sold someone cards in a bulk deal as well. He was just trying to quick sell them as well. And essentially someone threw the money into his car. He threw the carts out, you know, and whatever, they left. And later he realized he got fake money. There was real money in the front of the stack of money, real money in the back, and in the middle, all fake money. And I was like, dude, what? At this time, I put a lot of money into that. You know, that was like one of the biggest orders we had. And yeah, so at that point, I was like, dude, this is not me. I am not supposed to be doing this. Like, this is bad. I was anxious, scared. I was like, this is not me. So after a couple of times of doing that, and specifically that was like the tipping point, I was like, this has to end. This is not it. So that's kind of when that whole situation stopped. But that was like really when I made my first big dollars in something. Was unfortunate that. Am I proud of it? Absolutely not. Right? If I could go back and tell myself not to do that, I would. But listen, gotta do what you gotta do. So this takes us to the end of junior year. And this is when I, once again, was still serious on YouTube. I was doing the carts, the YouTube, stopped kind of swimming at this time, kind of took a back seat, which kind of broke, you know, my heart, because I was like, I wanted to be an Olympic swimmer. That was like the original OG goal in my life. I want to be an Olympic swimmer. Didn't end up happening. But, you know, at this time, this brings me to junior year, that's kind of when I started the free Discord. So the free Discord, the Discord that you see now, Pure Profit, started off as a free Discord called Tommy Boy TV Plus. It was just a free community where I had basically people like would join off the YouTube into the community, be like, hey, if you guys want to talk about sneakers, you know, share information, talk about stuff. So that kind of stayed steady. And then senior year is when I started getting really serious about like doing big like buyouts of retail stuff. So I was getting serious about like buying multiple pairs of sneakers, a lot of Supreme. And, you know, the group started growing a little bit, you know, free members, like 200-300 members, maybe for free at the end of it before I went paid. But before I went paid, I really went hard on the YouTube, like I said, really hard on the YouTube senior year. And I got really, I'm not gonna lie to you, this is all luck, but the tipping point in my YouTube career where it really set me off, like once again, for almost, I'd say 8 months, I was at between up to 1,000 subscribers, was not moving, 300 views to 1,000 views, maybe 2,000 views on a video that once again, I spent probably like 4 or 5 hours working on. Nothing, no good results. And that's just how committed I was. Like 8 months, posting YouTube videos, and I got to reflect on that sometimes too, like a little sidetrack right now. As you can see, I like to talk all over the place, but that's something that I look back on and like I got to learn for myself. That consistency, that drive, like show up for yourself every single day, even if your results are pointless and worthless and not getting you anywhere. Like at the time, I was like, one extra view on my video, like going from 39 views to 44 views was insane to me. Like that was, and I look back at my screenshots because I'm making and editing this video myself. I like went through all my camera roll, which I haven't done ever in my life. But like that really motivated me myself, and I hope it motivates you too. But the main tipping point that really set me off and got me really excited about YouTube was the fact that I got number 7 during the week 1 SS18 drop. That drop changed my life. For some reason, I got really, I'm not, like I said, it was luck. I'm not going to doubt that. But the money that I built up to get there wasn't really lucky. I had to hustle my way up there. And the reason why that's so important, because number 7 at Supreme, right? That means you're going into Supreme, number 7 on opening day of the season. This SS18 was like one of the tipping points of Supreme as well. They just came out of their whole Louis Vuitton collection. Everyone in the world knew what Supreme was and everybody wanted it. So I got number 7. I was geeked out of my mind. Literally, I was going crazy. So what I ended up doing is taking out all the cash I possibly had, which was like $6,000-$7,000 at the time, and I went to Supreme. My '01 Honda Accord, skipped school on that Thursday, parked in like a, I remember this day vividly as well. Like these vivid things are coming crazy because like I never really talk about this. You know, I'm talking about myself basically here with you guys, just one-on-one. Hope you guys are enjoying it so far, by the way. But anyways, number 7, I parked the '01 Honda Accord in like an illegal parking zone, and I have this cash in my hand. I show up at like 8 a.m. to Supreme. They don't open up for another 3 hours. You don't have to be there that early. You have a spot in line, so you're kind of guaranteed that spot. But I was like, I'm not messing this shit up. The night before, I wrote out the whole like 60 list of items I wanted, because you would basically make out a list, hand it to the Supreme employee, be like, yo, I want all these items, and they would go get it for you in the back, bring it up, and do that. I shit you not, I spent around $4,000-$6,000 that opening day, and then I went back 3 days after that and spent even more money. I literally dumped my bank account, my credit card, everything I basically had at that time into that drop. And that's that first YouTube video that had over 20,000 views. That video hit 25,000 views, around 20,000 views within just 3 or 4 days. It was me spending like $6,000, because at that time that was unheard of. Now you have people spending all this money, but at that time that was crazy. I was like by myself. I did this all by myself too. Showed up by myself. Supreme carry. I came out the store with like trenches, skate decks, bags, everything under the sun by myself. $6,000 worth of shit. I ran to my car and dipped. I'll never forget that ride home from New York City, because I lived in New Jersey at the time. That ride home, Graduation by Kanye West. The whole drive. Got McDonald's. Got a Big Mac, and that was my day. And I went back and edited that video. But like I said, I went back 3 more times to the Supreme drop, bought a bunch of stuff, basically resold all of that on Grailed eBay, basically doubled my money at the time, because that's how you could have done. You could have bought anything from Supreme, a bag, a hoodie. You were guaranteed at least some sort of profit, right, at the time. So that was like the good thing about that market, but that was also like the pico top of like Supreme, I'd say, more or less. 19 was good, 20 was good as well, but that 2018 season was unlike any other, and that was a season, like I said, that changed my life for real. And that specific year was mentally really, really tough, right? Because I really didn't have many people to come with me to the city. I had definitely some homies here and there that would come with me, but like I remember getting ghosted by friends like, yo, let's go to the city today. And then I would get ghosted messages, right? Ghosted messages there, ghosted messages there. And, over time, it was just kind of like a solo thing. But I met a lot of great people in New York. That was the great part, is like when I would leave New Jersey and get into New York City, I just made new friends like no other, and it was great. It was fantastic. I obviously didn't fit in that much because I was coming from New Jersey. They would hang out 5, 6, 7 days a week. I'd be there like 1 or 2, 3 times per week. And, but I made some good connections there. I ended up making a really good friend. And that's when I really realized, like, you just have to mentally battle yourself. It's just you versus you every single day. And that's it. You can literally, your thoughts control everything that happens in your life. There's no other way about it. You might think it's not real, but literally train your thoughts every morning. Train your thoughts. Think about how do you think about yourself? Do you think of yourself, oh, I'm ugly, oh, I'm a piece of shit? Every day you say, oh, I'm ugly, you're going to look uglier and uglier and uglier to yourself, and you're not going to have any confidence. If you're like, yo, I'm a handsome looking man, I'm good, I'm beautiful, I'm jacked, look, I'm maybe a little overweight, but I'm going to the gym, I'm feeling better about myself. That's a shit you have to instill in yourself every single day. And that's kind of, at the time I didn't really realize that, but that was a very, very tough year. But like I said, I battled through it, got through it, and ended up going to college. So freshman year of college, I had a dorm with someone, and it was very, very tough to make YouTube videos, but I still made YouTube videos 5 days a week, like I said, sometimes 6 days per week. If you look at my YouTube right now, over 1,200 videos were posted. That's a lot. Each video, keep in mind, takes about like 4 or 5, maybe a little bit less, but around 4 or 5 hours of work on average to edit, upload, film, record, come up with the ideas. Those are like in-depth videos, right? Very, very difficult to make, very long to make, but I was still grinding them out during college. I went to business school. Like I said, I wasn't also stupid, by the way. I had an 88 QPA. My SAT score probably wasn't good. I think it was like 1250, 1290, 1300. But like we didn't do GPAs at my high school. We did QPAs. I was an 88, which is like a B plus, high B plus. So I wasn't a stupid kid. So I got into like a good business school and kind of just grinded it out there, but also really realized that like I don't really want a 9 to 5. I don't want to be working at an office all day long. I like being outside. I like, working my own thing. I realized the main thing that really kind of made me realize that though was the lifeguard job for sure. Kind of went over that part, but I'll never forget the time I was a lifeguard and the guy told me, the manager told me like, yo, go clean the bathrooms. And I'm like, what? And I was like, you want me to clean the bathrooms? And he was like, yeah. He's like, scrub the toilets. And when I walked into that toilet and I saw what I saw, come on, this is a summer pool, very popular pool. Dude, this is not it. I am not going to have some dude tell me to go scrub shit off a toilet. Sorry for the language, but shit off the toilet. And I have to breathe. Like, this is not me. And I said, no, straight up. And I had some other girls do it for me. I was a really good friendly guy at the time. That was freshman, sophomore year of high school. But that's when I really kind of started waking up. I was like, dude, this is not it. I cannot be scrubbing toilets like this for the rest of my life. I didn't think that was going to be my lifelong job, but I was like, I can't have another man tell me to go scrub toilets and scrub bathrooms and clean shit off of toilets. I can't do that. I was like, this is not my life. I cannot have that happen. So like I said, that kind of carried with me. That kind of like vivid memory kind of carried with me throughout my entire college career. And I was like, yeah, like I said, I wouldn't be scrubbing jobs as a finance guy, but I was like, I don't want to be demanded being told to do every single day. That's not something I really envision myself, because as I was growing up, like I said, I'm a very strict household, and my parents would tell me every single day, don't do this, don't do this. And eventually they just built up like a problem with authority, right? That's kind of what I really hated. And I still to this day, I don't really hate it. Like I like working with people. Like that's my best thing ever. We'll get into it in a little bit, but authority, I do kind of struggle with. Like if someone was to demand me every single day, like, you have to do this, don't do this, eat this, don't do, like, because that's how I grew up. My dad would be like, you have to eat these vegetables, you have to eat these beet salads, you have to eat that, you can't eat McDonald's, you can't eat junk food, you can't have video games during the week, you can't watch movies during the week, you can't watch TV shows during the week, and even on the weekend it was difficult. You can't do that. Like, every day being, you can't. You pretty much are going to get fed up with a lot of shit. And that's kind of what happened with me. So this brings me to freshman year of college. Of course, COVID happens at this time and we were shut down, right? I was living in Newark, New Jersey at the time, going to school there, which, anything, look up Newark, New Jersey. Tell me what you think about that city. That's when I learned, like, you have to walk up straight. The confidence I learned there. I was walking around, keep in mind, I was going to the city 3 times a week, still flipping Supreme, like going to the city every single day. And, I was walking with a Burberry jacket on or a Canada Goose jacket on, not to flex, nothing like that. I wasn't worth shit at the time. So I was like all about fashion. I'm just going to put all my money into clothes, look cool. Like that's what I was about at that time. And I was walking around in Newark, New Jersey, downtown, carrying 2 big ass Supreme bags every single Thursday with a Burberry jacket on, and that's when I learned, like, that people were talking to me, like, trying to, start shit, but you just had to walk straight, keep your head up, chest high, and act like you belong there, essentially. That's when I learned, like, how to navigate, tough situations, and, kind of figure out, like, confidence is a big thing in life. No matter where you are, what you're doing, if you're confident, chances are something will work out. You'll be all right. It's not going to go to shit like you think. Anyways, that brings me freshman year. That's when I made a connection, like I said, with a guy that, you've probably seen on YouTube before. We don't really communicate anymore, but, that's when we built up a connection because he got a lot of early sneakers. I was making YouTube videos. We kind of come out to you like, yo, I'll give you promo for your Instagram page if you give me early sneakers. That's kind of how we started, like, freshman year, sophomore year of college. That's kind of what I was doing. I was going in-store to Supreme, but of course, COVID kind of shut things down. So that's kind of when the whole reselling game really, really shifted. And going back on that, I kind of breezed over the fact that, like, Supreme was a massive thing senior year of high school too. I was skipping school like 2 to 3 times a week. Like, that was a legit thing. I almost got kicked out of school for skipping too many days. I think 18 days is like the legal limit. I was at 17, like, unexcused. But then eventually I got, fake notes. I would just fake my own notes, fake parent signature, and, hand it in that way. And that's kind of what I ended up doing. But yeah, going to college, like, you could skip more. That's why I kind of really started skipping a lot. And then, like I said, COVID happened. And that's kind of when everything shut down, right? Like, the early sync reviews I was doing with my friend really stopped. Like, for 6 months, like I said, it was like a standstill. And keep in mind, we're resellers, right? I was going in store buying a lot of stuff, so everything just switched to online. So, like, at this time is also when the group was going paid, right? Freshman year of college is when I turned the free Discord into a paid Discord. Had a couple people. That's also when I had my biggest mental just, like, explosion in my head as, like, a business owner. One of the people that I had in my group, like an admin, he basically stole members. He was like, I'm gonna go start my own group. He messaged everybody. He was like, yo, guys, come join my group. It's so much better, blah blah blah. And that in my heart got me, like, infuriated. That was like, I wanted to give up. I wanted to cry. I was, like, pissed off for like 2 weeks. I was going ape shit because I was like, dude, for the past year and a half, I built up this free Discord, went paid, started going paid for like a month, and he instantly just, like, stole like half the people. Now, not half the people, he stole like a few people. That group, he was like, you're never gonna succeed shit, because he was like, kind of come at me, be like, yo, you're only good at YouTube, you're not good at sneakers, you're not good at reselling shit. And I was like, he was maybe a little bit true at the time, but the way he acted and the way what he did was absolutely insane. So he stole about like 50% of the people. They started their whole like anti-Tommy Boy TV movement at that time, started like shitting on me in the group. And that's kind of was like, yo, this is going to have to be a solo mission. That's when, like, I stopped trusting a lot of people, because that kid I basically trusted for like a year, just about. I was like, that's it. Like, this is just going to have to be a solo mission on my end. So that's when, like, I took everything on my shoulders. COVID happened. I started running the group, like, a little bit more efficiently, a lot better. And keep in mind, when the whole shutdown situation happened, this is when I started telling everyone, PS5s, pools, Nintendo Switches, hair shavers, hair clippers, start buying those up, because there's things like, yo, supply chains is going to get messed up. I wasn't a stupid kid. The PS5 wave and pool wave, I was on first. Like, that was something that I saw early. I told everyone, like, in my group, buy, and we did that, right? So during that summer, that, the first shutdown summer, I was reselling pools out of my '01 Honda Accord. The pools I was selling could barely fit in the car, worth more than the car. The car was like $1,000, not even like $800 at the time after I sold it. But I was selling like pools for like $2,500. That's like the most expensive pool I sold, and it cost me $800. Went to Walmart, bought it. Obviously it wasn't that easy. You couldn't just walk in and buy it. You had to, like, some connections or buy it online quickly with our monitors. And that's just what I did. PS5s as well. Same thing. That happened a little bit later during the shutdown. But once again, I did like 12 or 15 pre-orders on Amazon. I got about 25 of those in total. And the biggest deal I did for PS5s was I met up in Clifton, New Jersey. I remember this. 11 PS5s in my car for like 10 grand. Just around 10 grand. Once again, my car was worth $1,000 at the time. I pulled up, the car was barely working, making crazy noises. But that's how I was. That was the mentality. I stopped focusing on like the drip, like the Burberry jackets. I still have them, but like the Canada Goose jackets, the everything. I was like, this isn't going to bring me happiness. It didn't bring me excitement. What brought me excitement was honestly flipping stuff for money, making money. That was like the cool thing. Did my life depend on money? No. But like I said, ever since I was young, I saw the value of $1, and that's what I was focused on, just getting more and more dollars into my pocket, and kind of just hustling my way through that. And one of my coolest flips at that time was buying around 60 hair clippers from Walmart.com. For some reason, no one saw that they restocked, like Braun or Sean, whatever hair clippers they were. Bought about $30 for 60 of them, so $1,800 cost all in. I listed them on eBay as soon as they came in. Within 12 hours, I listed them probably like 6 p.m. By 12 a.m., I was sold out, sold all of them for like $100 to $120 on eBay. And I was like, damn, this is crazy. I just bought hair clippers, because at the time, hair clippers, people were getting their own haircuts inside their homes. There was no, barbers were closed, barbershops were closed. People had to cut their hair, so everyone wanted hair clippers to give themselves their own haircuts. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. And then from there, I just kept flipping Nintendo Switches, PS5s, pools, weights. Weights were flipping, like, those Bowflex weights you bought for $300, sold them for $1,500. At home gyms were flipping. This was just straight scalp season. This one, like, YouTube was popping off, right? Views were going up. YouTube views were going up. New members were coming into the Discord. The paid Discord, this was paid again at the time. The thing we started at $10 a month, then went to $20 a month, then 30, then 40. When I sold the group, we ended at 40. But like I said, during the time, grew it to like $10, $20. I think at this time, sophomore year of college, probably $30 a month. And keep in mind, I think this was about a year into the shutdown, maybe a little bit sooner. The Jordan documentary came out. That Jordan documentary and the stimulus checks, combined those two things together, exploded the entire sneaker market. Everybody wanted Jordan retros. You could have bought any Jordan retro on any, because they always released on Saturdays. You could have bought any Jordan retro on a Saturday release, paid around $200, maybe $180, depending on the sneaker. Sold it on StockX, eBay, or anywhere for $350 plus. Every single Jordan retro you bought, you could have flipped for money. Everybody wanted to see sneaker reviews. Everybody wanted to see the how to cop guides. And that's kind of what I got popping on, like the how to buy this sneaker release, how to buy it. And I'll give you guys info like raffles, where to buy it on the Saturday release, what stores are releasing them, and all that good stuff. And eventually, that's, like I said, the YouTube popped off. I got more and more members, but the group wasn't growing enough. I think I probably brought it to around like 5,000, 6,000 MRR, which is monthly recurring revenue of the group. And it kind of just like stood still there for quite a while. And at this time is when I really realized like this group has a lot of potential to make me a lot of serious money. I was like, this community is great. I'm giving out good info, but I know there has to be a way to scale it and grow it more. So I started pulling 18-hour days straight up. I was basically getting more consistent, like watching out for these drops. Keep in mind, these PS5s, these pools, they were dropping at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 6 a.m. I didn't trust anyone. I didn't want anyone working there. I had a really, really low trust factor. Also, I couldn't really find anyone that good, but I also didn't try that hard to find anyone good to help me run the group. But this is when I was saying, pulling 18-hour days, sleeping like shit. This was the toughest, like one of the most gruesome. Like this was like, yo, do you really want this? Tommy, do you really, really want this? Like that was what was testing me. God was testing me, I really feel like at the time. And I straight up did. I hustled 18-hour days on the group. I stopped focusing so much on the YouTube and started focusing more on the group, right? And at this point, the group was probably making, like I said, a little bit about maybe 8K MRR, maybe 10K MRR overall. And this brings us to like junior year of high school. And this is like when I really, really started dialing in on the group, like started hiring more people. But once again, never had a partner. And that's like the biggest thing that I wish I would have had. Finding a better, like a partner or someone like I could trust, like a head admin that I could really, really trust within my community, because that ultimately is one of the main factors why I sold the group, which I'll get into a little bit. But yeah, overall, really didn't have that. So I just started hiring like general mods and people that like had general information that like also worked for other groups at the same time, but started building it out more and more, started taking it more seriously, started adding more features, not just sneakers, but like more low-key flips and collectibles, like more niche stuff. Ticket flips at that time were also getting a little more popular because it was like end of shutdown was coming out. People were starting able to go to concert events. That's when concerts started going up in price a lot more too. And this is when members started getting crazy results in the Discord, and I was promoting it. I figured out how to promote the group really well on Instagram. Like I said, YouTube kind of took like a backseat. I was still promoting the group on YouTube as well, but YouTube I started doing less videos, not 5 days a week, maybe 3 or 4 days a week. But I started building an Instagram for the Discord called Timeboy TV Plus, and I was showcasing the crazy profit people were making reselling pools, reselling tickets at the time were getting a little more popular. Just promoting the group. And this is when I implemented a wait list. I was like, I'm going to build up hype like Supreme does for their clothing drops. I'm going to build up the same hype for my community. And I would have a wait list. I would leave this wait list open for, once every month. I would then email people like, hey, you're selected off the wait list. Come join the group. And I probably, at the peak, I had 250 people sign up in a single month. Like, hey, I want to join your group. And for some reason, my dumbass did not accept people. I literally probably took in 10%. Every time someone filled out, I probably took 10% of the people that signed up. Why? I don't really know, but I really thought I would I'm going to keep it super limited, which at the end of the day is what I kind of was going for. But at the end of the day, what I ended up realizing is all these groups were like, oh, I'm keeping it limited, but they took 80% of the people that signed up. I didn't. I was like, oh, everyone's going to keep it limited. I'm going to keep mine super limited and super niche. And I literally denied a lot of money. That would have changed my life even more. For the better, for the worse, I don't know. I'm glad how life turned out for now. But, that's kind of like when I was super picky with people that I would take into the group. I would look at their Instagrams. The reason why I would do that is to make sure are they working for another group or someone else? Are they trying to leak my information? And I was going apeshit. I was like I said, I get obsessive about things, and I got obsessed about the Discord. Like I said, it only took 10 to 20% at a time. And, eventually the hype started fading out of the group. Like people started to get jobs again. It's like junior year of college at this time, senior year. People had to get jobs. Shutdown ended. It wasn't that easy to resell sneakers anymore. And, maybe I think the group probably went up to like 10K, 12K MRR and then just dropped like a brick. Dropped like 8K MRR. So down like 40%, just about 30%, just around there. I don't know the exact numbers to this date. But I also, keep in mind, I had no track of finances. This is a time, until my senior year of college, I really didn't track any finances of the group. I know for a fact I lost money for the first 1 to 2 years of operating that group. I definitely lost money, but the YouTube checks paid for that, right? YouTube, I think the biggest check I ever got from YouTube in a month was like $5,500. So that's crazy. crazy money. That was crazy money for me. I was geeked. I was hyped. I was like, I don't really care. I'm just going to build something great. I had like I was like, I'm just going to build something great. And that's kind of like, I just allocated the funds from reselling and the YouTube into the Discord. And then eventually the Discord started taking over. And then like, I was at a point, this is senior of college, where I was like, the beginning of senior year, I was like, something has to change. Like YouTube, I kind of like fully took a step back from that. Maybe 1 or 2 videos a week. I was like, the group has to be the main focus. I have to bring that back up. I have to bring something new. So this is when we started getting to like low-key flips and collectibles, like flipping random like vinyls, like stuff that we didn't flip before and was completely new to me. And every time I say I say this a lot to make myself look bigger. It was just me. It was just me. And I had like I said, I had moderators in the group, people I paid monthly to work there, do stuff, but they were never like fully unique to me. They worked for other groups at the same time. They were like info providers. It wasn't fully unique. I was like the fully unique guy in the group running it. And that's when we started getting to like low-key flips and collectibles. And unfortunately at this time, I was still taking all the payments for the group through PayPal. If you know anything about PayPal, don't use it. Don't use PayPal for business transactions whatsoever. So I would run a recurring subscription. Keep in mind, WAP wasn't a thing. Now WAP is the payment processor, blah, blah. Before there was WAP, there was shit like me. I hired a developer to build me a whole custom, like, hey, if people click this PayPal button, they're automatically added into Discord. They get a welcome email. They're automatically added in Discord. They get a paid role. When they cancel their PayPal subscription, the role automatically gets removed and they don't get access to the group anymore. This took a while for me to figure out, hire the right person, and get it all built up. But, eventually, it worked out and I got PayPal. But PayPal was the biggest mistake. PayPal, that's the whole thing. Like now when I'm building these new businesses, I'm making sure like the foundation, like you don't want to wait 6-12 months to launch something, but you want to make sure the foundation, people say like, just start, but start smart. Don't start, I didn't look into Stripe. I was like, this guy said, oh, only PayPal will work. The developer told me only PayPal will work, which was a lie. Stripe was also working. You could take Stripe credit cards. It was less fees, easier to manage, a better user interface to track your payments. And I didn't listen to him. I didn't do research. I was lazy on my end for sure, but Stripe was there. And if I just built my group on Stripe in the first place, the whole issue would not have happened. And all the PayPal issues just got to be too big. Payment issues, processing issues. People didn't trust PayPal anymore. So I was like, all right, it's time to switch to Stripe. Fired that developer, hired a new developer, switched over to Stripe. But keep in mind, you can't just go from PayPal customers to Stripe customers with like a press of them. Like, oh, I'm going to switch everyone's payment information over to Stripe. Doesn't work that way. What I ended up having to do, I had to manually email every single customer I had, Discord message every single customer I had, like, hey, please switch over to Stripe. Here's your purchase link. Here's a free month free trial. So I had to give everyone like a free month or multi-week free month to get them over to switch to Stripe. So long story short, it took about a month and a half for me to do this. And I literally emailed them, Discord messaged people multiple times. Finally got, like I said, about 70 to 80% of people did switch over. So MRR definitely dropped a good bit from there. But as long as everyone was on Stripe, we were good. And at this time, I think WAP started coming out and I switched over to WAP. Now this brings me to like senior year of college. I was still in college at the time. Once again, graduated business school with a 3.5, 3.4, 3.5, 3.6 GPA. I don't know. I really don't care. My degree is right there, worthless to this day. Maybe I'll use it down the line, but hopefully not. So this brings us to the end of senior year. Like that summer is when I really woke up. I was like, look, everyone I know is getting a job. I have to start making real money. Like I was making okay money at the time, but not like, crazy enough to like, I could sustain myself living on my own. So all right, what I'm going to do, like YouTube, my social awareness was going down. The group was still named Timeboy TV Plus. I was like, okay, something has to change here. I was like, I don't really want to go back on YouTube posting 5-6 times a week. I want to focus on the group. So that's exactly what I did. I was like, Timeboy TV Plus is a cool name. It was like a little sentimental, but I was like, you know what? I got to wake up. If this business has to work on its own, it doesn't have to be attached to me. I have to change the name. So that's what I did. Change the name from Timeboy TV Plus to Pure Profits Group. Came up with the name of my own. I think that's a fire. It's the best name. Every time a group or anyone else mentions like, oh, I made this amount of money reselling, I made this amount of profit, every time profit is mentioned. So I thought of Pure Profits. I'm so proud of myself for coming up with that name. So I ended up hiring a designer to come help me with a new branding website, which took 7 weeks. So about almost 2 months, which is ridiculously long. Basically got scammed. Not really scammed. I paid him. I ended up getting the job done, but it took so damn long. And eventually, finally, Pure Profits got done. This was like the end of summer, July, August, maybe just around there. The group was, like I said, around 10K to 15K MRR, maybe a little bit less. But, I was like, okay, new branding is here. Change the Instagram, change the name of the group. I was like, okay, what else has to change? Our entire marketing strategy. So this is when I started dialing in on short form content. I studied short form content for like 2 to 3 months while that whole rebranding was done. I studied short form content. I was like, okay, how do I make videos that are short form? I was always used to YouTube. I love to yap. I like to talk to myself, to other people, whatever. I don't really care. I just like to talk to people, like learn about them, and maybe learn about myself while I'm talking to myself. But I was like, I like to yap long form. I like doing that the most, but short form is a completely different game. Not the same at all. You have to be quick. Your hooks matter. You have to be quick to the point. You can't be putting fluff. You can't say likes. You can't be taking deep breaths. You got to be quick cuts to the point, fast. So after studying that for a while, I started coming up with my own video strategies for about a month. So Pure Profits got made, started the Instagram, started posting short form content for about a month and a half. Tested different video styles, tested different hooks, different approaches to selling online. It was my first time selling through short form content. So like, all right, how do I actually sell through short form content? So this time I started playing around with different scripts, and finally one video style worked. It was like, hey, the next time you go to Walmart, make sure to look out for this toy car because it'll make you over $100 in pure profit. And that video style, that tonality, like the inflections in my voice just hit. It just hit. The first video I think got like 400,000 views. It was me talking about reselling a toy car, a Dodge Challenger, I think, a black one, a Super Treasure Hunt toy car, whatever it was, and that video exploded. And I was like, this is it. So what I did, I just replicated every single video after that 6 times a week, short form content, me talking about a flip and saying it the same way. The next time you go to Target, look out for this. And the reason why it worked so well is because I'm calling out the specific year. Like, everyone goes to Walmart, Target to shop, sees Walmart, Target every time. They're like, okay, why is this kid or why is this person telling me to go to Walmart or Target or, go there, look, next time I go out there, oh, I can make $100 in profit? Oh my goodness, that's crazy. Let me see what it has to say. So in the body of the video, I'll be like, hey, look out for this toy car. It costs $6. You can resell for $100 on eBay. Look out for the TH Flame logo on the front of the card that the car is placed on, and shake it and look for it. And if you want to learn more, go ahead and check out the link in bio for the free Discord, or hit the Discord in bio, right? I changed up the offer at the end, the call to action at the end all the time. But this is when I dialed in on selling through short form content. And then I also made more money on top of that through affiliate links. So what I ended up doing is creating a separate page for like link in bio selling. So like through Mavely. Mavely is an affiliate platform. We use Mavely links in the Discord to be like, hey guys, buy this product. So kind of like you're double dipping on the members, which I'm not proud of. I don't think like that's a great thing to do at the end of the day because it does slow out the checkout process. And if you're in a Discord, you know how that works. But Mavely links basically on Walmart be like, hey, these Pokemon cards are dropping. Walmart will give you 10% commission on every product you sell through there if you use a specific link. So, I'd use that in the Discord, but I also started building an Instagram, a faceless Instagram, promoting the same products we'd sell in the group on Instagram. Be like, hey, if you want to buy this item, it's the link in bio. Of course, you couldn't sell like limited edition products through there, but I could sell like general stuff that was sitting that I know people wanted. So this went for like Crocs, Stanleys sometimes, random like hype stuff like that at the time that was flipping for a lot. And I made a good amount of money through there as well. A lot of revenue, but not enough commission. Because commission was really, really low, like 5%, 10%, 3% on some websites. So what ended up happening, Mavely ended up shutting me down. Once again, the full force kind of went focused on the Discord as well. But once again, the group grew to around 45K MRR. I still had some people on PayPal payments, but most of it, once again, you'll see, I don't know, screenshots if you want to see for proof. You can see it right there. But overall, really, really successful. The time I went from officially rebranding the Discord within a year from January 2023 to January 2024, 8x the company's revenue on my own. And not to be arrogant or cocky about it, but that was fully done on my own. I really didn't have, like I said, no partners, no head admins. It was me running the group. And I'll be honest, it all came from the marketing. 90% of it, 90% of the money was due from the marketing. There was no other reason why the group grew the way it did, besides the fact the organic short form content absolutely exploded the company. Insane numbers. So that comes to January 2024. At that time, I'm like, I want to go to Costa Rica. I'm sick of being, in the same place all the time. I want to go try something. I love Costa Rica. I traveled there like 3 times before. I was like, I want to live there for 3 months. So I went there solo. Really eye-opening experience. Didn't try ayahuasca, nothing like that. Did a little bit of shrooms, and but that wasn't the reason why I changed my mindset. But the reason why I was like, listen, I started this whole business. The whole reason why I wanted to be an entrepreneur, started the business, kind of happened organically as well. Didn't like force it. I was like, I got to make money. I got to make 10K a month. That was never the goal, by the way. I was like, I just want to make a living where I can do something I love and enjoy and have a good time. And that's what I did until the point, like when the group exploded, I had 2,000 members in the group. It was running me. It was a system that was running me. I wasn't running it. I couldn't step away from the computer for more than 30 minutes a day. This is facts. You might think I'm exaggerating, but I literally couldn't. Keep in mind, like I said, there's limited edition products dropping every single hour of every single day. Vinyl shock drops, sneaker shock drops, random ticket flip shock drops, everything under the sun. I had to make sure that, because I was obsessed and committed to the group. I put my heart and soul into it. But like I said, it was running me and I wasn't running it. This is not a real business at the end of the day, because if I step away from the group or I step away from anything, the group cannot run. It cannot run the way it can run, but not the way I want. Not the 100% full throttle we were leading. Every group was leaking information from us. And by the way, every group started copying my short form content style because it worked so well. And we grew once again within, I think, 11 months, we grew from 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 followers on Instagram to over 105,000 followers on Instagram. So the views are exploding, followers are exploding. I loved it. I love the results. But like I said, the actual day-to-day of running the community was insane. So at this time, I started reaching out to a few people like, hey, would you be interested in, possibly buying the group? I couldn't believe I was saying that because I thought the group was gonna be something I was gonna do forever. But like I said, it got to the point where it was over consuming my life. I didn't have time to the weekends, weekdays, full. And I know that's part of the entrepreneur journey. I know like that's what I like. I do like those days. To this day, on these new businesses I'm working on, I work 18-hour days, but they're not to the point where like I literally physically cannot leave the computer because I'm watching Free Drop, watching monitors, that are scanning eBay, scanning Mercari, scanning Poshmark, looking at news articles for what's hot, what's not. Like that was the shit I was doing. And this is a point where it was, like I said, I was upset because like the community I built in Pure Profits was like, I still recognize those names to this day. Nate, for example, one of the biggest sellers ever. He ended up doing like 400K in a year on eBay. Nate, I don't know if you're watching this, man, but like, for example, and that's not, and like, I hate to say like it was all about the money because it wasn't. I'll be honest, the money wasn't even that happy. If it was about the money, I would have tried to like exploit the group more, try to milk more, try to do less for the group and just focus on marketing fully. But the group itself was a fantastic community. Like I said, the reason why it grew was for the marketing only. And the money never really brought me any happiness. I thought it would, of course. As everyone does, like, I could buy a watch, I could buy Chrome Hearts glasses, I could buy, and this isn't even like a crazy watch. I'm not flat. This is like a not expensive, that expensive of watch compared to what's out there. But like, I bought myself a new car. I was like, a new car, I'm going to change my life. Dude, that new car was super exciting for the first week. This watch was super exciting for the first 6 hours. Shit you not. 6 hours. I was like, I waited a year and a half for this watch. I was like, six hours after, I was like, cool, man. This is cool. But like, all right. It's just another thing I have to worry about. Another thing I have to think about all the time. Distractions. And, at the time, I didn't really buy crazy stuff. Like I said, I was not into spending money. I spent enough money during my high school years, college years, like buying Supreme, wearing box logos. Didn't bring me that many bitches. Didn't help with that much shit. So I was like, it's like, only if you like it, buy it. And at the time, I thought I did. But, at the end of the day, I realized I didn't really care for it. I could wear Champion sweatpants, Carhartt hoodie. I mean, this is like a little bit of an expensive t-shirt, but like that didn't really change my thoughts. It's like, how do you feel about yourself, right? Will that $10,000 watch really think the way you change about yourself? And if it does, it definitely does a little bit. Like when I go out with this, I'm not gonna lie to you, it gives me a little bit more of an ego, like for sure, but not in a cocky way. But like, does the actual clothing change how you think about it? Will you yourself think more confidently about yourself? Will you yourself think more, abundantly about yourself? And if that changes your mindset, then absolutely that's for you. But for me, that's not me, right? That's not for me. The real thing that brought me true happiness, and I mean this sincerely from the bottom of my heart, people think, yo, you're lying just so we feel good about you or whatever. But truthfully, the best thing that made me really, really happy was when I went into the success channel of that Discord of Pure Profits, and I saw a kid post like, dude, Tommy, you just made me $1,000, or at Tommy, you just made me $500, at Tommy, you just made me $10,000 in a month. That shit, I shit you not, made me that whole day could be shit. If I got a message in the success channel saying that, I was ecstatic. I was the happiest person on this planet. No matter what happened that day, because I committed so much time to the group. When I saw someone really be that successful from the group that I built, that was the greatest feeling ever. That's when I really learned like the value of like time, effort, and money. That's kind of like I really saw the value of everything. But anyways, at this time, like I said, I reached out to people like, hey, would you be interested in buying the group? Like I said, I can't believe I'm saying that, but I was like, hey, reached out. Some people were like, hey, I reached out to some group owners. They're like, hey, we could buy you out, but we're going to offer you like a commission split. We'll give you like a small amount of a dollar value, but everyone you bring in, you'll get 50% of their membership fee if you bring them over. After doing that with already once, bring people from PayPal to Stripe, I was like, that's not the deal I want. I'm not going to, I would like cash and, be done. Or at least a good amount, upfront, just payment overall. And I'll stick around with the group, whatever. And eventually I found people that wanted a deal. They wanted to buy the group. And that's eventually what happened a couple months down the line. So end of the summer, that's what ended up happening. New owners took over, sold the group for a lot less than I think I should have gotten. But that's on me. In hindsight, that's what I think. And everyone can think that. But in the moment, I was like, I just need to be done. One of the main convincing factors as well is I saw the value of short form organic marketing, and I really fell in love with that. I just saw how I can convert people that are viewing my video into sales, and I was like, this is exciting. This is the future. And I was like, look, if I grew my company 4 or 5x in revenue, grew the Instagram following like 10x plus within 11 months of doing short form content, even shorter in terms of the revenue side, but through short form content, imagine if I could help brands do this with 4, 5, 10 creators. And that's where I'm at right now. So I sold it to a publicly traded company. Great people, by the way. I'm still part of Pure Profits. I'm still hanging out there. I do voice calls in there once a week. I'm on Instagram Live for Pure Profits 3 times a week. So I still have the community. By the way, I still stick around. I'm still there. Once again, I just want to make it clear I'm now no longer the main owner. But I gotta say, those couple of months after I actually sold the company, where I went from 18-hour days on Discord to like, less and less and less, was a shock. That was a very weird moment. Very kind of like not depressed, but like, just like, ugh, like emotional. Like, what am I doing in my life? I went from being like a high stress, always working, always online, always looking for jobs, to not having to do that anymore. And that was liberating, but also distressing at the same time, right? Because like I said, I was obsessed with a lot of, running the group, doing the whole business, and it kind of like just shifted from like to zero. Then I was like, okay, I'm going to put all my time and focus on this new opportunity that I want to build, which is helping brands connect with creators that are good at short form content. So kind of like TikTok affiliate right now is what we're entering. The whole Simple Sauce group is what I'm working on right now. Simple Sauce is a community where we basically take members and people who are interested in creating content online. You don't have to be an influencer. This is for people that have 0 followers. We basically take you into the community. We teach you how to make short form content. We have, and now this isn't just me. I also work with 5 other coaches that are experienced in TikTok affiliate. So I come from the Instagram space. We have about 5 coaches that are experienced in TikTok affiliate space. They've all done over $100,000 in revenue on TikTok Shop affiliate within the past year. Some have done 500,000. We got Anthony in there. He's an absolute killer. Eric, absolute killer as well. Lily, Darlene, absolute killers in the TikTok space. And that's the main thing that I'm changing up my focus on this new business is I want to bring in partners. I want to bring in people that have the same vision with me long term, that aren't working there, just to get paid, that are actually interested in helping me grow the group. Because like I said, the whole Pure Profit situation was all done on my back, on my own. It was pressuring, which I love pressure. I'll work under pressure, no doubt about it. I'm not a pussy. But at the same time, if I want to scale and if I want to build something meaningful and large lasting and long lasting, I do know this time around I do have to build it with other people. So that's why I have great coaches in there along working with me, great partners. We have Ollie in there. He's an absolute wizard. He runs multiple 6- and 7-figure social media pages for companies, and he's an absolute beast. So what we basically do is we built up training videos on how to train people how to make short form content. Once again, you don't have to be famous to do this. And if you're not interested in this, by the way, I don't want to shill you on this, but like I said, I do believe this is the future. TikTok Shop affiliate selling through videos is the future. I do think it's going to take over everything. It's already taking over TikTok. I do think eventually Instagram will implement their own. Amazon's going to have their own. Everyone's selling. It's no longer about 100,000 to 1 million follower plus influencers anymore. It's about nano and micro influencers that are growing brands. I saw that with myself. My face had nothing to do with Pure Profits, right? I grew Pure Profits because the way the videos hooked people in and got them to buy the membership. So at the end of the day, that's kind of how I want to help brands do, whether they're selling a product or a service. That's essentially how I want to do it. So what we're basically doing now is structuring a full training video, a whole Discord. It already has 700 members in it. And we don't only do content creation in there. We also do sweepstakes, writing, and reverse stock split arbitrage. That's there because people like content creation is like a side hustle for some people. It should eventually turn into a main source of income for a lot of you guys that are in there. We're going to train you really, really well to work with brands, get you multi-$1,000 creators retainer deals with brands. We already do that. We already work with 7- and 6-figure brands within the community. We're like, hey, you guys want to hire creators that we train? They say yes. We connect you guys together and basically put you guys into a training brand deal, and we train you to how to promote that specific product, right? So what we do is we train you like, hey, this is the product, these are the ingredients, or this is the pros and cons, this is the features and benefits, this is the problem solution that it helps with. We teach you like, all right, focus on this in your video. We teach you how to structure it. We make video scripts for creators. So we're not just an agency where we hand off creators to brands. We actually train creators with our 5-6 coaches that are in there how to make good content. We train them specifically on the brand's products. So essentially that's what we're on to do. And the reason why we have reverse stock split arbitrage and sweepstakes writing in there is because they're the most cracked out side hustles that like, yo, listen, content creation takes up time, but if you have extra time, those 2 side hustles alone are going to make you, I don't like making guarantees because at the end of the day, it depends how much effort you put in. But if you put in your full effort into these sections, TikTok affiliate, sweepstakes writing, reverse stock split arbitrage, no reason why you shouldn't be making $2,500 a month at the minimum. And I really, really want to help you do that, right? Because once again, I want to be part of people's successful journeys in life. Whether you stick with Simple Sauce forever, or you stick with me forever, or you don't, you stay in there for a month, or don't. I just want to be part of your journey. I want to help you guys out. I want to give you guys information that I've learned over the past 6-7 years being online, making money online, and, doing pretty well for myself. So yeah, if you're interested in doing something like that, and listen, you don't even have to show your face on content. We teach you how to make AI affiliate videos, how to make faceless videos. We have weekly voice calls in there. I'm not here to sell you on this, by the way. I didn't want to make this video like that, but if you're interested, there's a free, you can join for free or paid if you'd like. Free will get you access to just free chat just to check it out, or if you really want to get serious about it, you can join us. $30 a month. Like I said, Pure Profits, Time Plus went from $10 a month to $50 a month. Simple Style is going to do the same way, right? We want to recruit as many people as we can for possibly the cheapest amount. We're going to give you guys our heart and soul. $30 a month, we're losing money on you because, by the way, I'm still the founder of the company, and I invested all my money and all the time for the past 6 months learning more about TikTok affiliate because I come from Instagram, so I know how to sell through videos, I know how to structure videos, but TikTok affiliate a little bit more different on the back end, like how to, add products to your showcase, how to create accounts, blah, blah, blah. 6 months, been studying, learning, working with the coaches on how to do that. Made the training videos, and now I'm at a point where I think we're really confident in being able to help you become a good creator. And I'll be honest, one of the key lessons I actually learned that I'm, going back on right now is you never want to give people free. So if you're starting up a business yourself, you never want to give people too much free stuff because they join for free. They're a cheap, no offense, but a shitty customer. They join for free. They have no inclination to stay with be active in your Discord or in your product or in your service. People join for free. They're like, cool, this is free. I look at it for a day. Okay, I don't pay for it, so why do I care? That's why I hate doing free stuff. But, we do need more people within the community that are interested in becoming creators or, learning side hustles and things like that. But yeah, overall, that's where all my money went into for the past 6 months. I got money from the sale of the group, some 6 figures, right? It's going to be some 6 figures. I don't want to give out the exact answer. Like the group, I said group a lot. Like I made a good bit of money throughout my journey. But money isn't everything. It's not the key to happiness, key to success, key to life. It's just gives you freedom to do more shit. And like I said, Pure Profits didn't give me any freedom. So that's why I decided to move on from there. And like I said, I found a better passion for content creation, teaching people how to make, money through content creation. You don't have to be popular on YouTube. Your friends don't even have to see your content anymore. You could literally make your page private and, hide them from Facebook friends, hide them from your contacts, and still make 10, 20K a month if you're an experienced, well-made creator, right? I'm not going to promise a dream to you, but like I said, I really want to be on the journey, just how I made people hundreds of thousands of dollars or thousands of dollars through reselling. Some people made hundreds of thousands, some people made low thousands. It all depends on their effort, but I want to be there to help guide you in the right direction along with the rest of the coaches and my partners to make sure you are on the well-made journey on how to make money through your content. Because once again, this is just new. This whole selling through videos thing is new, about 1 to 2 years old. And like I said, this is the future. These big influencers are charging too much. The brands aren't seeing them as sustainable options anymore. I talk to a lot of these 6-7 figure brands. A lot of them, I do a lot of interviews. I try to do cold calls with them. I interview a lot of founders. And I know what they need, and they need a lot of influencers like I was for my own company and how you can be for theirs as well. And you can make straight commission, no headaches, make content. I just think I don't know. I'm obsessed. I'm really, really obsessed right now with this short form content creation thing. I think, like I said, it's the future. It's like getting into drop shipping and reselling more like drop shipping like 10 years ago, reselling in like 2015, 2016. That's how it was. When you could have bought Supreme underwear for a 4-pack for $36 and sold a single piece to Australia for $100 plus $25 in shipping. That's how it is right now. And eventually we'll get oversaturated. We'll get burnt. We'll get washed out. But I think it has another 3-4 years before that really, really happens. So like I said, I think we're ahead of the curve here. We're teaching people how to make content with AI. And like I said, I invested all my money and time into that business. I'm also working on another business right now. Have to do with clothing. Right, that's my background. So a lot of money has gone into there, and a lot of money. Also, like a side reason why I wanted to sell the group is because I was very low on cash. So got a little bit more cash, and I kind of predicted like everything went up like this. Sneakers, everything started going up like that, and that's why I decided to sell the group as well, is because I needed more cash because I knew everything was going to go down. I knew the group, reselling, stock market, everything is, and that's exactly what's happening right now. So now that I'm a little bit more cash heavy, actually just this past week on Friday, I did a lot of buying, a lot of stock buying. Allocated about 25% of my funds into the market already. I'm starting to buy this dip in. So long story short, essentially I'm back to where I was, starting at like, not zero, but all my money, all my time is invested in things right now. But that's what it takes. I'm basically going all in on these 2 businesses and investing right now. I do think it's the future. I do think I'm making the right move. And like I said, I'd love for you guys to be part of it if you're interested in me. Now, the one key thing I forgot to mention actually a lot about is my inventory, right? If you guys remember, I was buying hundreds of sneakers every single like 2 weeks, probably, and doing unboxings on YouTube for them. You guys saw it all happen. And yeah, so I sold a lot of stuff too, but I also kept a lot of stuff. So about 1,200 pairs of sneakers, around 500-600 pieces of clothing like Supreme, Palace, etc. 500 pieces of like Pokemon and sports cards. So starting in 2023, that's when I started selling it. My first big deal was a big bulk deal to a store owner that was local to me, sold it through there. And the rest of it was all mostly through consignment. Stadium Goods, Alias, Flight Club, a couple of local shops, but not really. eBay, Grailed, and Alias Online. Not Flight Club Consignment, but Alias Online. That's another selling platform. So what I ended up doing, took about 1.5 years to sell all those pairs, all the clothing, all like the weird accessories I had. I still have some stuff left, I'm not gonna lie to you, that I want to get rid of. But that 1,200 pair of sneakers is down to like 50 right now. So that took a while, and I sold a lot of those individually. Why? Because I wanted top dollar. I put a lot of time and effort into getting those. I could have sold all those bulk to someone for like 70%, 80% market, but I wanted 100% market, which ended up working out pretty well. I think I started selling at the right time. this is like, I think beginning of 2023, it was when I really started. And like I said, I think timing was okay. I could have started a little bit earlier. I could have sold a little bit faster. I still have some stuff that are, on Alias, like 20, 30 pairs that are like complete bricks now, like Sakai Vapor Waffles going for 400, now going for like $150. That's the current state of sneaker market, by the way. All the old SKUs like Mocha, Jordan 1 Highs, still have like 2 pairs of those, UNC Blues, and actually the biggest L that I'm kind of taking right now is Royal Toe Jordan 1s. That was like my biggest cook ever. I still have like maybe 20 pairs of those. Initially had like 55 pairs, so like I sold most of those like 280, 250 around there. Now they're going for like $200. So the timing on the market was a little bit difficult. No one can time the market perfectly, but like I said, I think I did pretty well there. And like I said, sold everything through consignment. I do have a few things left, but like I said, feels good. A lot less stressful. I was always worried about fires, break-ins, all that stuff, but luckily, hopefully, less stress regarding that type of stuff. So that pretty much wraps up my story. Like I said, investing and putting my time into the new businesses, taking all my money, putting all my eggs into a few baskets, not into one, but a few different baskets. But I hope you guys continue with me. So what this YouTube channel is going to turn into, a lot of business content. I understand if you're reseller, you should be interested in that. Over the past 6-7 years, I built up a YouTube channel, an Instagram following of some sorts, and unfortunately I sold. That's the biggest mistake, by the way, I did make though. My personal brand kind of fell off. I just focused on the group, and I built up the group's Instagram, but didn't build up my personal branding Instagram. So that's kind of like where the future is going to go. Trying to build my personal brand, trying to give you guys all the information. Just how I gave you guys all the information about reselling sneakers, things like that. I'm going to try to give you all the information that I learned about business. I made a lot of mistakes. Also made some good moves. And overall, I do think that I have a lot to share with you. So that's what this channel is going to become. A lot of business information, a lot of information about content creation, but also reselling. I still do that as a side hustle. Like I'm still in pure profits. Like I said, I still enjoy it. I'm going to Supreme Miami next week. So I'm doing a little bit of a vlog like that. It's going to be weird. I haven't done that in a while, but hopefully, you guys join me for there. Still stick around. Still going to have some sneaker content, still some streetwear content going to be around there. But overall, like, yeah, a lot of business content is going to be posted on here, but we'll flip it around, throw it around, a little bit of everything. I'm just going to make it enjoyable for myself. I'm not going to really try to stick to like this niche, that niche. Business, a little bit of reselling, all about content creation, and that's kind of where I want to take this. So I hope you guys stick around. Hit me up in the DMs on Thomas Silverk on Instagram. By the way, if you guys ever want to chat, I'm there. I'm a regular dude, regular guy that is no more special than you. Just a regular dude who tried really hard, accomplished some things in his life, and is ready to accomplish a lot more. So I hope you guys stick around. Thank you so much once again. If you ever watch my videos, just stick to the end. I appreciate you greatly, and yeah, hopefully I'll see you around. Thank you so much. Peace.